What's up, guys? Wiggy here, workingclassfitness.com. I want to talk a minute about strength. Strength is one of these qualities that there's a real strong dichotomy with it. Guys seem to either be, or it seems to either be greatly undervalued or greatly overvalued. In that there are a lot of guys that seem to not really place a whole lot of importance on strength, in that they think it's greatly overrated. They think, it's weird. It's almost like there's this prejudice in a lot of circles against strength and against, especially strength in anyone that's trying to, let's say, build muscular size or get bigger or whatever. There's this idea that maybe they're trying to compensate for something, whether it's, a lack of self-esteem, or, they want to be a bully, or, it's a lack of endurance or a lack of skills, if you're, let's say, coming from the martial arts world, or a lack of cardio, whatever. It's just weird. It's like they're not only do they, some guys not place proper importance on strength, but it's like they really don't realize how much strength carries over to so many other physical traits, and that if you want to be fast, you have to be strong. If you want great muscular endurance, the easiest way to do it is to get strong. If you want to be explosive, you've got to be strong. If you want to be able to move your body weight well, or just move your body well, you got to be strong. So while a lot of guys wouldn't, say that these other things are not important, or they would admit that they are important, it's like they don't realize, or they don't want to admit that being strong is the easiest way to get good at these things. So don't undervalue strength there. But then on the flip side, a lot of guys, when you find guys that do value strength, they end up going totally to the opposite end of the continuum, in that strength is greatly almost overvalued then, in that it's all they focus on, it's all they worry about, to the point to where they neglect proper body weight, endurance, cardiovascular conditioning, work capacity, anything else like that. Speed. It's all about just putting more weight on the bar, and putting more weight on the bar, and putting more weight on the bar. And I don't think either one is right. You've got to find kind of a happy medium. I think that being stronger is always better, but that only comes to a point. That once you get to a certain point of strength and capability, I believe that it's time to then focus your efforts in other areas, and I'll talk about that in another video. But so then that kind of begs the question, well, how strong is quote unquote strong enough? And there's really no one singular recommendation you can throw out there, unfortunately. You definitely can't say, oh, well, once you're benching 225, or you're benching 315, or squatting 400, or whatever, you can't use arbitrary actual numbers like that, because there's too much variation, too much difference between people. I mean, take a guy that's 5'3" and 130 pounds, and another one that's 5'9", 185, and another guy that's 6'2", 320. Tell all three of those guys that to be strong, quote unquote, they've got to lift the same amount of weight, and it's a bullshit prescription. It's not going to work. At the same time, you can have two guys that are the same height and even the same body weight, but they've got radically different body compositions. I mentioned 5'9", 185. Take one guy that's 5'9", 185 and 8% body fat, very muscular. Compare that to a guy that's 5'9", 185 and never done a push-up in his life, and even those two guys are radically different. So you can't put them on the same scale. So there's if you're going to start with any kind of a basis, I think really you've got to make it in relation to body weight, just because that's going to be the easiest way to kind of normalize it. Kind of the de facto, thing that or idea that you see, especially on the internet, is to be considered quote unquote strong again. Be able to put your body weight overhead, bench 1.5 times your body weight, squat twice your body weight, deadlift 2.5 times your body weight. And those numbers are all fine. I don't think you necessarily need to achieve all those numbers. And again, I'll talk about that in another video why. But those are all great goals. If you can hit those, you're strong. And if you can hit all those, do you need to get stronger than that? I don't think so. I think then you can focus on speed, or you can focus more on endurance or other things like that. That's not to say that trying to get stronger than that, if you can hit those numbers, is bad or a dumb idea or whatever. But I don't think it's overly necessary. I think you can be better served by doing other things. So those are numbers you can throw out there. But again, at the same time, if you can't hit those numbers, or if you can hit most of them but not all of them, let's say you can hit the the bench and the squat, but you're not quite at 2.5 body weight dead, or you're not quite at getting your body weight overhead, don't worry about it. As long as you're close and you're kind of in the realm of those numbers, I think you're doing good, and you'll be fine. I don't think that you need to go too much crazier than that, because then once you built that level of strength, you will have the foundation to be able to do other things that will make you much more successful in your physical pursuits, whether it's athletics or martial arts or even just in regular everyday life. So there's some numbers out there. That's it for this video. I hope that works for you. Kind of keep that stuff in mind when you're thinking about strength. If you like what's in this video, hit up the link at the end of this here in a second. Get on my newsletter list so I can send you YouTube videos nearly every day and plenty of tips and advice. All right? Train hard, rest hard, play hard.